10 a.m. on July 22nd, and this is Dr. Mary Harp Sheets. I would like to call the Licensure Committee of the Board of Psychology meeting to order and ask that the roll be called to establish a quorum.
Harp Sheets.
Here.
Nystrom.
Here.
Tate.
Here.
Thank you. Quorum is established.
Thank you. Okay, I'm happy to welcome everyone to today's Licensure Committee meeting. And before we move to public comment for items not on the agenda, I'd like to share a few logistical items. Please turn your cell phone and other devices to silent, and also please mute your device unless you're speaking. As indicated, we have allocated time for public comment for items not on the agenda at the beginning of our meeting. Additionally, we will welcome public comments on any item on the agenda, and it's the committee's intent to ask for public comments prior to taking action on any agenda item. Public comments are instrumental to our meeting, adding to the vibrant discussion on matters before the committee. If you're making a public comment, please do not identify any licensee or registrant of the board by name in order to avoid prejudicing future action that may be required of board members in our capacity as a deliberative body in enforcement proceedings. Please also be respectful of our time constraints and the need to conduct and complete the committee's business. If there are several members of the public seeking to comment on a particular agenda item, I will set a time limit on each speaker to ensure maximum participation by all in the context of a busy agenda. We will meet in open session as noted on the agenda, and then we will move into closed session to discuss and consider qualifications for licensure. We will not be discussing any items in open session after the closed session of business concludes, except to adjourn the meeting. Okay, at this point, I'd like to open the box for public comment for items not on the agenda.
We are now accepting public comment for items not on the agenda. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We will be displaying instructions momentarily. Alrighty, let's take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay, well, I have done my welcome and opening remarks, and I would like to move to item number 4 on the agenda, approval of the Licensure Committee meeting minutes from the meeting on January 7th, 2022.
This is Nystrom. I move to adopt the meeting minutes.
And I'm happy to second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, could we have the roll call for the vote?
Of course. Harp Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to item number 5 on the agenda, and I will turn it over to Ms. Chung to provide us the licensing report.
Thank you, Dr. Harp Sheets. Good morning, committee members. In your materials, I'm going to report to you our licensing report. To start with, regarding the licensing populations, I'd like to let you know that as of July 5th, 2022, We have 22,333 licensed psychologists and 1,568 registered psychological associates. It includes 19,774 current psychologists and 2,559 psychologists who are in the inactive status. You may find more details in attachment A, the licensing population report. This report provides a snapshot of the numbers of psychologists and psychological associates in each statuses at the time the report was generated. So I did a little comparison to the last report that we made at the April board meeting. We found that the number of psychologists who hold a current license increased by 43, and we have an increase of 118 current psychological associate registrants compared to in April. Following this would be the application workload reports. In attachment B, you will find the workload reports for both psychologist license and psychological associate registration applications. The period would be from January this year through June. It shows the number of transactions that are being worked on in Breeze. You can see that the number has been increased on both the psychologist and psychological associate applications. It actually means that more applicants are being approved for either eligibility to take the examinations, and more individuals have been issued psychological associate registrations and psychologist licenses so that they can serve Californians. And then in attachment C is the applications and notification received chart. You can see that we provide the numbers for a 12-month period from July 2021 through June 2020. The total overall number shows that there's an increase of about 238 application or notification received comparing to the same 12-month period as reported last year during 2020 and 2021. And then last but not least, you will find the average application processing timeframes in attachment D. So I would like to kind of talk about the process of how we review the application. So the board reviews and processes applications based on a first come, first served basis. So this includes, but not limited to, all applications supporting materials and responses to application deficiency. They're all reviewed according to the date that they're received for fairness and transparency. So in attachment D, you can see the 6-month overview of this average processing timeframes in business days. So in the beginning of the year, we observed an increase in the average processing timeframes for both psychologist and psychological associate applications. And we are concerned, and we very much want to get qualified applicants licensed or registered as quickly as we can, so they can serve their communities. So this trend has led to the implementation of both short-term and long-term solutions so that staff can proactively address these time frames. So as a recap, on the memo, we have listed the long-term permanent solutions and short-term temporary solutions. The long-term permanent solutions are we're trying to streamline the application process via pathways to licensure regulations. And then we would like to achieve solvency and obtain additional funding for the board through the regulatory and legislative fee change proposals process. So once we're able to address the structural imbalance with a fee change, we will be seeking additional resources via the budget change proposal process. And then we talked about redirecting an office technician position to the licensing unit so the person can assist with administrative support of the unit. And we hope to have this position posted in the next 2 weeks. And then we can begin the review process. I'm waiting for the posting to meet the filing date, and then we can proceed with the review process in the hiring of the new person. Regarding short-term temporary solutions, we have our retired Newtons to work full-time in April, helping out with the processing of applications. And we will be looking for additional cost savings to extend this temporary help of our retired Newtons. So regarding that, we are able to utilize cost savings and able to extend the temporary help by our retired Newtons on a half-time basis since April. So we have our retired Newton on board for a little while longer. And then we have a special projects coordinator. We have him trained alongside with our new analyst to help out with the some of the notification process as a 50% licensing analyst. So with all that said, and with the implementation of both long-term and short-term solutions, it has actually resulted in the decreased processing times as shown in the bar graphs. So specifically in May, you can see that we have a decrease, reduced processing timeframes for psychological associate registration application, and in June for the psychologist license applications. And for transparency purposes, I would also like to make a note of an upcoming vacancy in the unit, as one of our licensing analysts has received a promotion outside the board. We hope the vacancy will be posted within the next 2 weeks. And I just wanted to make a note that this vacancy will likely lead to a slight increase in the time frame in the next coming months. And this concludes my report, and happy to answer any questions if the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chung. That's encouraging news. We appreciate all the work your unit has been doing to improve this processing time situation. Any committee members, do you have any comments you would like to make?
I would just like to echo what you just said, Dr. Harpsheets. Thank you, Ms. Chung, for thinking outside the box on trying to make those wait times less. And it is encouraging news. And thanks for keeping us up to date on the staffing issues. I appreciate it.
Okay. Great. All right. Could we please open for public comment?
We are open for public comment on the report. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Hold on just a moment. I have a raised hand. Dial-in user 3, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. You can dial *6.
Hi, thank you so much. I am a group practice owner with some pending PA applications and a wait list. Is there anything that can be done if we have a situation where someone is, I have a clinician who can work but can't work because I don't have the PA number? Is there any process?
I'm sorry, could you were cut off.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is there any mechanism in place or number to call if we need to try and request some kind of like expediting of a PA application if we have someone who's just like not able to work and the clients aren't able to be seen while we're waiting for that turnaround?
Ms. Chung, would you like to answer that, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the questions. So all applications are processed on a first come, first served basis. So we actually process all materials according to the date order that they received. But there's not really an expedition process for application unless they meet the statutory requirements and criteria. But if you have specific questions, you may email me or the general inbox so that I can follow up with you to see where things are and how soon or provide you with an expected time frames that it will be processed.
Awesome. That would be great.
Yes. And I would just want to give you the general inbox. Email address is Bob Licensing, BOPLICENSING @dca.ca.gov. And if you mention that you are the person making the public comment, that will flag it for me that it's you, because I don't want to ask your name that you don't have to provide during the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Chung.
No problem.
Thank you, Ms. Chung. Okay. Do we have any other public comment?
At the moment, there are no other requests for public comment.
Okay, let's return to the agenda. And we will continue with the continuing education and renewals report.
Hi, good morning. The continuing education audits for March and April 2022 were sent out and concluded on July 11th. The current pass rate for January through April 2022 CE audits is 41%, with 44% of audits not yet received. The pass rate from 2017 to 2020 has been consistently over 80%, and the pass rate for second audits has been over 80% since 2017, with a 100% pass rate in 2021. I wanted to congratulate the following board members for passing their 2021 CE audits: Dr. Tate, Dr. Kasuga, Dr. Harbsheets, and Dr. Rogers. For renewals between January through July 2022, 80% of psychologists renewed as active. Approximately 91% of psychologists and psychological associates renewed their license online using Breeze per month. I wanted to note that the information in attachment F should be switched around. Attachment F is the online versus mailed in renewals. The colors are just should be switched. So the blue should be mailed in and the red is online. And this concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Committee members, do you have any questions, Dr. Tate and Ms. Nystrom?
Not for me. Thank you for your work, Ms. McCochran.
Thank you.
None here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCochran, for a thorough report and again, encouraging news on people moving to online submissions and the good news on the continuing education audits. Could we open the box for public comment, please?
We are now accepting public comment on item 5, continuing education. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay. We will now move to the examination report and multiple test taker statistics. And I would like to ask Ms. Snyder to please provide us her report.
Sure. Okay, so what you have is data on the number of candidates who have taken their exam and their pass rates each month for the year 2021 and 2022 for both the EPPP and CPLEE. The table is available on the board's website and updated monthly. So for each table, you'll just have, if you look at the very bottom, you'll see the total numbers for that year. So for the EPPP 2021, you have 1,471 candidates, 614 pass, and that's a 42% pass rate. For first timers, you have 701 took the exam, and that's 436 actually passed, and that's a 62% pass rate. For 2022, you had a 713 number of candidates that took it, 277 pass, and that's about a 39% pass rate. For first timers, you had 323, 202 pass, and that's a 63% pass rate. For the CPLEE, we have a higher pass rate for 2021, 1,131, 875 pass, and that's a 77% pass rate. For first timers, 796 took it, 621 pass, and that's a 78% pass rate. For 2022, we're not done for the year yet, but we have 416 took it, 317 pass, that's a 76% pass rate. And for first timers, you had 310, 244 passed, and that's a 79% pass rate. So the next chart you will depict just total pass percentage per month for 2020, 21, and 2022 for the EPPP and the CPLEE. For the EPPP chart, you'll note that in 2021 we seem to be consistent, and then in August of 2021 it drops. We have a lower pass rate also in 2022. And then for the CPLEE, we have a higher pass rate, a higher percentage of candidates that pass the CPLEE. Does anyone have questions? Nope. Okay.
No. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So the next item is just the statistics for multiple test takers for the past 5 years. Based on the data that we collected, there was a steady increase of EPPP test takers and multiple test takers in 2017, 2018, and 2019. And then you'll notice a slight decrease of test takers and multiple test takers did occur in 2020 and 2021. The decrease can be attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in a lot of exam cancellations, site shutdowns, and exam scheduling and rescheduling issues. So I find it easier if you look at the chart, the graph. It will show you total numbers in blue, and the number of multiple test takers in red, the number of pass in green, and the number of fails in purple. So the board did reach out to ASBPB Senior Director of Examination Services, Dr. Turner, for feedback regarding California pass and fail rates, whether they are in line with the rest of the country. He explains that historically California has had a lower pass rate than other states. Although he doesn't have any data, he speculates the two main factors would be based on we have higher percentage of individuals trained in doctoral programs that are not APA accredited than in other jurisdictions. So, and then also he also mentioned that data also suggests that people who have taken the exam 4 or more times are less likely to pass the exam candidates who take it more than 4 times may result in lower pass rates overall. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. I think that's really critical information for us to be aware of. I saw that you had listed in your report that the national pass rates from accredited programs are around 82% from accredited programs and 55 with non-accredited. So that's an important number for us to be aware of.
Yes.
Yeah. Any comments or questions from Dr. Tate or Ms. Nystrom?
I have a quick question. You said that, was it Dr. Turner didn't have statistics for us? He was kind of not guessing, but thinking about why our pass rate is lower. Can we get those statistics from him? Is that something?
Yes, we did. We did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we did request some information. Unfortunately, the data is not available yet, but we did reach out to them, and as soon as that data is available, we will present it to the board.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Do we, Ms. Snyder, do we know how many people in California who are applying for licensure? What's the percentage or people who are applying from non-accredited programs versus accredited?
So, we don't collect that data, unfortunately. It's not something that we look at. It's not data that we ask on the application, and it's not. So we have no way of determining which candidates are in accredited or APA accredited program. However, ASPPB does collect that information. They do collect that information when they have their candidates register on CertaMe. They have a registration process that asks that candidate a question. So that's why we reached out to them to help us out in determining which candidates are coming from accredited programs or APA accredited programs, and what's the percentage, what's the pass rate percentage on those. So yeah.
Yeah. If I'm correct, California is one of the few states that does accept for licensure graduates from non-APA accredited programs. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
This is Ms. Nystrom. Ms. Schneider, I have a question. Do you know if schools in California are required to post online for transparency purposes the number, what the pass rate is? Some schools have to post, what their graduation rate is for 4 years or 6 years or whatever.
Well, we have something similar on our website, but it's just the schools. And then what happens is the schools refer to our website, and I don't know if they post it, but I know that we have data on just all schools. They're not. I mean, we just have a list of all the schools. So if that's what you would like to see, I can email it to the licensing committee.
Okay, yeah, and I was just curious, but if the schools were, if they needed to post the information as well, because then the onus isn't on us necessarily. But I mean, it's good information for us to have, but it would be good for
the schools.
The schools to do it too. Okay, thank you.
I think if the school thinks they have a good pass rate, they brag about it. I've seen that on their website. Yeah.
That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments from Dr. Tate or Ms. Nystrom? Okay, could we please open the box for public comment?
We are accepting public comment for agenda item 5.3, examination report. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay, we will move on to item number 6. This is board response to psychologist applications, and Ms. Chung will provide us with a review of the correspondence sent to applicants for licensure.
Thank you, Dr. Harpsheets. So item 6 is about the correspondence template that we use. So last month, board member Dr. Cervantes actually tasked the board staff to follow up on how and what we are communicating to our applicants regarding their applications. So a little bit background of that is when we help applicants to navigate through the licensure process, we utilize some templates to provide important information and guidance to them through email after we have completed the review of an application. So we communicate this important information to them so that they will be eligible to take the required examinations and ultimately become licensed. So you will find these templates relating to the psychologist license applications in the attachment following this memo. And we ask the committee to review these templates and provide any feedback. So if you scroll down to the attachment, so we have provided several templates for each process. So it's listed according to the process as an applicant would start the licensure application. So the first one would be when they apply for the eligibility to take the EBBB. So the first template would be the EBBB approval is in bold, so you can see the content of it. And then let me just go over quickly, scroll down to tell you what approval or what templates we have, so that the committee may start their review afterwards. So the first off is the EBBB approval on page 31 of the packet. And then we tell them what they need to expect on how to schedule examination, eligibility period, what else do they need to do for their remaining process, like any pre-licensure coursework that they would need, if they need fingerprints at one point. And then the next one is the EBBB deficiencies notification. So when they applied for the eligibility to take the EBBB, sometimes they're missing some information that make them can't qualify to have the eligibility yet. So we will let them know that, you may be missing a transcript. So you can see in the bullet points, not all the applicants will receive the same bullet points because it's tailored made to what is missing on their application. But we'll list anything that they missed or that they will still need to provide to the board to demonstrate that they have it, they meet the requirements for eligibility. And then following the EBBB would be the complete process. So once they pass, they will submit a request to us to seek approval or eligibility to take the complete. So when they are approved, under the complete approval template, we will let them know that what they can expect, how to schedule. There's a handbook that they can refer to for information. We'll tell them the passing score. This score change for each form based on the construction of the exam for each form. And then what if they don't do, we tell them what happened to their application if they don't take any action in taking the exam. And if they need accommodation, where can they direct the those requests to? And then we'll let them know when they pass, this is the next step you should do. And then if they fail, they will need to retake the exam, and then we specify the time frame and the amount of what they need to do. What they need to submit. And then we'll also remind them what else do they need to submit to us prior to being able to get their license. So we will remind them if they're missing a pre-licensure coursework, then we'll list them out here. If they don't have anything else that is needed, no extra information will be provided after the approval. And then afterwards would be, on the other side would be the deficiency. So we'll let them know what else they need to provide to the board in order for them to meet the requirements so that we can provide the eligibility to them for them to continue on with the process. On page 38 of the packet, you see many bullet points there. Not everybody will need all of them. So it only will use the bullet points that only applicable to the applicant for when they need to submit something to us. So for example, somebody has submitted the fee, then we were not gonna repeat the fee bullet again. And then somebody, if they applied their application based on certificate, but they haven't provided us the certificate yet, then we'll tell them which certificate that they will need. So not all of them will be provided to the applicant. In general, it's very specific, tailored made to what is missing for each applicant. And then if they have passed the both exams, and then they submit a request to us to request a license. So on page 40, this is what they will see when we issued them the license. This is the approval. We'll provide them information on their license, like their number, expiration date, what days issue, expectation on when they will receive the pocket license and wall certificate. Remind them about address of record. They should change their address of record and keep it up to date. And they can change it through Breeze or send it to us on paper. We tell them about information about CE, what they need to comply, and the link to where they can find more information. And then remind them about that they will need to renew their license after 2 years. And then the method of renewal is also provided to them. And on the other hand, if their request is missing something, we will provide we'll use the license deficiencies template to let them know what they will need to provide to the board in order for them to demonstrate compliance. And this is the overview. And then if the committee has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I was just going to point out something I just noticed on page 36. We need to update the $500. It says $500 instead of the $530 fee. It says $530 and all the other correspondence. So it's under pass, submit your $500 fee.
The 500, I think the 530 is for renewal, if I remember correctly.
So initial is still 500?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Committee members, any comments or questions that you have?
I do. I'm actually grateful that Dr. Cervantes requested this kind of review of the templates because I have not seen them before. And so I'm grateful for having the time. And they're very thorough. They have so much information in them. The one thing I think that every person would like in these letters, and I don't know the easiest way to do it, or if it's just the time we're in right now, is when there is correspondence, when should the person expect to hear back from you? When, a time frame on these letters on the front end. You can send an email to the board. Right now, our processing time for emails are blank, just so there's some information, some guidance, because that's just my thought.
I think there's a link on page 39 that it looks like it's a link to current processing times from the board's
Yes.
website. Is that
Yes. But there is a link, you can look it up, but if you're just getting a letter, it'd be nice to have it in your hand because the letter does a nice job of introducing, I'm the analyst who will be carrying through this process with you. If you send me an email, it will take me, 5 days to get back to you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, Dr. Tate.
And I don't know how hard the templates are made, and I like them. I think that's the one thing that we're missing.
Yeah. And I would add to that what we have talked about in the past, the idea that a lot of it is applicant dependent. So the sooner they submit in this form we're talking about right now, there's deficiencies listed, and that the sooner they submit, the sooner it gets back in the queue, if that's correct, Ms. Chung.
That's correct.
So maybe we could take that paragraph where there's that link and maybe add some information about, or anytime we have where it's appropriate to write current processing times, that we also put that applicant driven wording.
Sounds good. I will make a note.
And this is Miss Nystrom. Miss Chung, okay, on the when there's a change in a licensing analyst, because the template says, introduces the licensing analyst to the applicant. I'm curious if there's a change in licensing analysts that's reviewing that case, or is the applicant notified that their contact person has changed?
Thank you for the question. So the only time that happens would be when an analyst leaves the board, that it will change the reassignment, or when their application has expired, then it will be reassigned to a new person. So we are fine-tuning the process of how we should best notify applicants when an analyst will be leaving the board. Because each analyst is shouldering a few hundred applications, and this process is entirely manual by notifying them if there's a change of applicants. So what we do is we will automatically reassign their application to another analyst and put it in their queue, so that it will still retain the date order that the document received, and then the new analyst can continue with the review process by not having the applicant lose their spot in line. We also try our best to notify them when we receive an inquiry from them to know that, this has been assigned, or if it hasn't been assigned, we'll assign it right in there. Because the process is entirely applicant driven, so we action when we receive something from the applicant so that we can act accordingly.
Okay, so if I'm an applicant and I email a licensing analyst that is no longer with the board, what happens to my email?
So the email should have an automatic response to state that it's either not going to work, the email, or to direct them to send it to the general box. And then when we receive it in the general box, and we will see, this is a applicant that is no longer assigned to a analyst that no longer with the board, then we will go ahead and reassign it if it hasn't been already. Then we'll respond to the person saying that the analyst that you email is no longer working, no longer with the board, and we're connecting them with the new analyst.
Okay, that's helpful. And then one other question on the templates, where at the very bottom it says insert signature. What exactly is included in the signature for the licensing analyst's information? It's their name, title, and then is there an email and a contact phone number, or just their name?
Yes, we have all those. So we have our logo, our board logo, and then analyst name, and then the phone number and the email address, and our physical address too, I believe.
Okay, and it's the licensing analyst direct email, or is it the general?
Direct email.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no problem. Thanks for the questions.
Okay, any other committee questions or comments? Okay, could we please open for public comment?
We are once again open for public comment. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take about 15 seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay, we will move on and ask Ms. Chung to give us information on item number 7, relook at how we're verifying pre-licensure coursework requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Hopsheets. So item 7 is about statutory proposal that staff is making. The background is that management held a licensing town hall with the licensing unit staff to ask for their to ask them to brainstorm creative solutions in addressing the timeframes issue. So one of the suggestions that staff made is to possibly add additional verification method for our qualified psychologist license applicants for them to show that they are compliant of the 2 required pre-licensure coursework. The coursework are the suicide risk assessment and intervention and aging and long-term care. So in the current language, it allows applicants to meet the requirements in 3 ways. So one is to obtain as part of their graduate degree program. Second is to obtain as part of their applied experience. And the third is by taking a CE course as specified in the statute. So when the applicant chooses to fulfill the coursework requirement using as part of their graduate degree program, so right now it requires only for these 2 courses that it requires a written certification either from the registrar or training director to provide us this letter for verification purposes. So staff think that it actually would streamline the process if we're able to allow verification to be provided through a transcript. If the transcript clearly show that the completion of the specified coursework with the course title. So, of course, if the course title is unclear or absent, that we can't tell that is the pre-licensure coursework that they're completing, then only then we'll need to ask for such written certification from the school so that they can provide to us for verification. And then on top of that, staff also think that the department chair should also be an additional person who can provide such verification, as we believe that they are also familiar with the applicant's coursework and brackets. So in the attachment would be the proposed language that we have suggested and for the committee review.
Okay. Any questions or comments from Dr. Tate or Ms. Nystrom?
This is Ms. Nystrom. Just for clarification, who participated in the town hall? Was it just staff?
Is management and all licensing staff.
Okay, that's helpful. And then with the recommendation to reach out to the department chairs as an additional verification. Were department chairs any department chairs contacted about if that makes sense on their side?
I think in the past we have seen department chair writing letter for the applicants, and we have to turn them away because it was not allowed. So that's why staff think that it makes sense to have them. But we haven't really reached out to the department chair. If the committee task us, we could see if we could create a survey or something to get input.
Okay, maybe Dr. Harpsheets or Dr. Tate could weigh in on that. I was just making sure that if we're creating something on somebody else, that it is something that they're willing to participate in as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that they can always say no on their end, right? And since we have seen them write letters in a number of areas, not just this, it would seem logical that that we just expand an opportunity. But certainly at the school level, they could say, no, this is not something I want to do. That's sort of how I see it. How about you, Dr. Tate?
I would agree. It's just interesting because I totally see what Ms. Nystrom was saying as well, as you don't want to add something that the other side can't provide or doesn't make sense. So,
but it seems like it's just one way, right? We add the transcript as an option, which streamlines the process, and we already have the registrar, and so I guess it feels like, okay, we've expanded it, but it's not mandatory for the department chair. We're not telling them this is something we need to have from you.
okay, so it is not mandatory. It's just a recommendation that would help streamline the process on our end.
It's just, yeah, an option for the applicant to use if that makes it easier for the applicant. That, for example, it's not shown clearly on the transcript, the registrar is hard to get a hold of somehow, or there's more paperwork involved in that. It would just be another option. But again, at the school level, they could say, no, we don't want to do that, which that's fine.
No, I could get behind that, definitely.
Me as well. Thank you.
Okay. Can we open for public comment, please?
We are open for public comment on item 7. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3, raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. Let's take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Okay, so we are asked to make a recommendation to the full board to approve these proposed changes. Would either Dr. Tate or Ms. Nystrom like to make a motion that we recommend this statutory change to the full board?
So move.
Okay.
And I second.
Thank you. Okay. Now, since we just made this motion instead of before, I will ask Ms. Sork, should we open for public comment again, or are we okay?
I don't want to speak for legal counsel, but I'm going to guess that anytime we have a motion, you would start the process with the motion, the second, go out for public comment, and then call for the roll.
that this is Sabina, legal counsel. Agreed, Internet. Every time we have a motion and a second, we'll have public comment.
Okay, let's open again for public comment, please.
We are accepting public comment on the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to return to the agenda?
Yes, please. Can we please call the roll for the vote?
Harpsheets,
Aye.
Nystrom,
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, we will. Oh, and thank you. I wanted to thank you, licensing unit staff, for this thought that we can help to streamline and make this process just a bit easier for applicants. Every little bit, I'm sure, helps in that process. I'd like to move to item 8, which is the last item on the open session agenda, and that is any recommendations for agenda items for future licensure committee meetings. First, I would like to ask our committee members if you have any items you would like to see on the agenda for our next meeting.
None for me at this time.
None here either. Thank you.
Okay, I would just say I think it would be useful to have any kind of update that we might be able to provide on the status of the EPPP2. We might not have anything, but I think it would be good to have it on the agenda. And can we please open for public comment? If anyone would like to make a recommendation for an agenda item for a future meeting.
We are accepting public comment on agenda item 8. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. Dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. Our first request comes from Paul Hobson. Bear with us just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. Okay, Paul, we see you are unmuted.
Applicants currently in the cycle. I'm towards the end right now and kind of waiting 90 days in between every single step has been definitely a challenge and a barrier to entering. And so just kind of maybe soliciting feedback around from people that are applicants around the barriers they've seen and possible suggestions that they might have to improve the efficiency of the process.
Okay, I think that's really can be very useful. Thank you very much, Dr. Hobson.
And there are no other requests for public comment at the moment.
Okay. Oh, I see Ms. Sork has her hand raised.
Hi, I just wanted to remind folks that are on the call that we have a board meeting scheduled for August 19th, which will also be held via WebEx. During that meeting, we will be discussing the committee report from today. And additionally, Ms. Chung will be giving a presentation a little more in depth on the licensing processing times and what the board is doing to address that. So I just wanted to briefly mention that as a sneak peek into the upcoming board meeting and to encourage those in attendance today to join us on August 19th.
Thank you, Ms. Sorek. Okay. We can close the public comment box. And this concludes the open session meeting of today's licensure committee meeting. And the committee will move into closed session as indicated on the agenda. And after the closed session, as I mentioned earlier, we will not conduct any open session business beyond adjourning the committee meeting for today. So I'm just going to ask how we will do that on the closed section. How will we do that logistically?
This is the moderator. I am working on that right now.
Okay.
In just a moment, at the top of the screen, we're going to see something that says we are starting a practice session. And that means that everybody in the panelist list will be included, and anyone left in the attendees list will be excluded.
Okay, great. Thank you.